and hassling all of our candidates. So that's what I've been rushing up here doing. So I basically tried to get a response from everyone about whether they'd support our petition or not. Whether they're politicians.
محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا
رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين
آمين.
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
From the river to the sea!
Palestine will be free!
Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Gaza! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Gaza!
Free, free Palestine!
And the siege! And the siege!
And the siege of Gaza!
Yeah, and the siege! And the siege!
And the siege of Gaza!
Yes, sir!
Free, free Palestine!
And the siege! And the siege!
And the siege of Gaza!
Yeah, and the siege! And the siege!
And the siege of Gaza!
It's for you to really decide. I don't know anything more about the candidates. So I put all their responses and kind of what we think about them up there, but, you know, look up their policies and all that before you vote. I'm going to stand here near the end. Unfortunately, they sprung an extra event on us that was meant to be up there.
Using some arming companies here in Australia. One of them called FERA, the other one Elbit, and Albanese have signed over $1 billion contracts to arm the Zionists.
You're supporting genocide! Never fortune you can do it! You're supporting genocide! You're supporting genocide!
Put a great statement for Albanese in the ICC, International Criminal Court. And he will be the first creature in the world now to face the International Criminal
to Gaza to buy a tent via the West Bank. Well, I have had a message from the dad. He's married with 4 kids. He has had a request not for himself, not for his own family because his children are primary school, but he's had a request for nappies. He says that all the babies are like wearing plastic bags. There is just hardly any nappies. The nappies that are available, they are so expensive. So he has put in the request for some cash, which I know I can get to him via the West Bank, so that he can buy some nappies and spread around to the mums and the babies in the tents around him. He is between Rafah and Khan Yunis, so right in the middle there. I thought it was very touching that he didn't ask money for himself, which he could have very easily, and he's thinking about the babies that are around him. So if you could dig deep and throw in some money, that would be great. Also, anything that is being sold here for the next 2 weeks is going to go to that cause so that we can buy some nappies. So thank you very much, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. We're 155 days into this genocide and nothing's changing. Yesterday, I think we heard the Vice President of the US calling for a ceasefire, but the US is still supplying arms and ammunition and money to fund the genocide. So how stupid do they think we are, that we can't see through this crap?
Yeah, shame. 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 Shame.
We hear all the time the situation between Palestine and Israel is too complex. Let's debunk this. It's not complex. It's a very simple situation. It's a systematic dispossession and brutalization of a people, and it started a long time ago. The reality we are witnessing today began in the 20th century when colonial powers, Britain and the US, used the UN to carve up Palestine. Not for peace, but to establish a state at the expense of those who lived there. This led to the first Nakba, the catastrophe where 750,000 Palestinians were violently uprooted and thousands massacred. Fast forward 75 years and the situation has only deteriorated. Palestinians now huddle in fragments of their former homeland, with Gaza transformed into an open-air prison, suffocating and under constant threat. Every few years, the world watches yet another military operation, a euphemism for what is in truth a slaughter, where the lives lost are overwhelmingly Palestinian, overwhelmingly civilian. And what's the international response? Far from neutral, it actively arms, funds, and politically shields those conducting the oppression and dispossession that began almost a century ago. So no, this isn't a complicated geopolitical issue. It's a clear case of injustice, of powerful entities crushing the vulnerable, while the world not only stands by, but often participates. It's a narrative that needs retelling, because under the guise of complexity, countless lives are reduced to statistics, and glaring injustices are dismissed as complications in a protracted conflict. If you stand for justice, if you stand for human rights, if you stand for the principle that people have a right to their homes and lives without fear of bombs raining from the sky or the knock of soldiers at their door in the middle of the night, then there's nothing complex about standing with Palestine. It's a moral imperative. We need to demand better from our leaders and ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!